But speaking of growing the game, this weekend in MLS, we saw Charlotte FC. First season in MLS. First home game. They got 74,000 people in their stadium, which is an MLS all-time record.
Who's like
All time.
who's like bringing like a name to them though?
No one. It's their second game of existence.
It's not Matthew McConaughey.
First
Yeah, there's no
home game.
McConaughey.
No,
behind
they
the
don't
team.
have no celebrity ties. First home game, Charlotte, North Carolina.
That's crazy
Packed
too.
house, 74,000.
So is that like their standard stadium they play in? Like every week every
Yeah, I
week
think
they're
so.
playing in
Yeah.
that stadium
Yeah.
with 74,000 capacity?
No, the capacity, yes, but I don't think it's gonna be that full always. So.
Well, no, I don't think so either. But like
But still,
74,000,
for them to even
Nonetheless.
get that many people,
Yeah,
it's like double BMO Field.
It's an expansion team. Nonetheless, is America a soccer country?
No, we've had this conversation before. Soccer or football is like what, third in terms of sports in North America,
I saw
at least for the youth.
I saw something on it's gonna be funny on TikTok about some guy who talks about sports and stuff like that. He was saying like he was bringing like a kind of some facts into it, and he was saying basically like don't sleep on soccer, don't sleep on the MLS soccer in the North America because it's starting to grow and he says it's gonna be the biggest sport in a couple years.
Yeah,
Because
I
look,
don't disagree.
what he says. Look at basketball. A couple years ago, it was in the same boat as MLS. He said where there was not, it wasn't too big.
Now it's growing,
and now NBA is one of the hottest sports in the world.
Yeah.
He says MLS is gonna be in that thing already. He was showing me a graph and it was like they already passed the sport.
Probably hockey.
No, hockey was up there actually.
Really?
Oh no, it might have been hockey.
Definitely
they
bigger
passed,
than
they
hockey.
passed
man.
NHL.
Yeah,
gotta
sorry,
be bigger
it was
than
NHL. But the way they grow in population and how rapidly they grow, the percentage wise, was like
Mad.
massive and it was
Yeah.
bigger than any of the sports and how they grew.
Yeah.
So people are saying, don't sleep on them.
Dude,
For
Not
sure.
right now, but I feel like potentially it could. Maybe it
Yeah,
won't
I
overtake
think
like
so.
football or baseball, America's pastime, but I feel
No,
like it
MLB
can
is
be up
that.
there.
I think whatever the Americans want, they'll get.
But you know what I
Because at the
think?
end of the day, they can promote anything they want in the world, and it'll be the hottest thing in the world.
They know how to do that well.
They know how to do
Yeah.
it well because they know what their people want. They're gonna want to promote it. They're gonna get in
Yeah.
people's minds, and they're
That's
gonna
what
be able to
happened, man.
promote
Their
it.
population's massive.
Again, MLB is
Exactly.
slowly dying. Again, it's just a sport that it's just a pastime, right? Like you don't really watch it for the sport. You kind of watch it because it's gets the people together. Same thing with I think football too. Like it only happens so little in the season. There's only so many games.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a thing you guys get together, kind of watch as like a family. You don't. Really, I don't know. I'm
Even
not
that-
American. I don't really.
Even
I'm not-
then, no, college football in the
college
U.S.
football
is crazy.
college football is.
different,
I
yeah.
think college football is bigger than regular NFL.
Yeah, that's what it feels
Apparently.
like.
It
Sometimes.
is, yeah.
So
Because those college stadiums, like some of the biggest stadiums that are in
Are
the
college
States,
stadiums.
they're just college
Yeah.
stadiums. Like when we went to Michigan, that's a
Michigan,
college
yeah.
The
stadium.
big house.
What else? What's another one? What, Rose Bowl?
Rose Bowl.
That's a massive one. It's
It's
also a
USC
college stadium,
stadium.
right? You know what I mean? But I think for me, like the biggest thing that I think has been kind of holding soccer back from growing rapidly in North America and the States is like I think it's just the timing.
timing, and I
Mhm.
think
The
I
The
think
timing of the games, it's like, you know what I mean? Like if you think of like, most people are in America, North America, are working like a 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
They're working, they come home, you eat dinner, and then you have that free time to like either watch sports or like go to events, and like that's when like baseball, basketball, football on Sundays you're off, you know what I mean? So you have that like kind of those sports are easy to watch, but because of soccer, like I think there's so many leagues and like the timing of the games is off. It's hard for people to follow, but now that I think that people are getting into it, and it's being broadcast a lot more as
Yeah.
well. So I think that's gonna the game's gonna go rapidly. I think by the World Cup in North America, and if not like by 2030, I'd be surprised if it wasn't the biggest sport.
I
in
know-
North
That's what I was
America.
gonna say.
No, see,
I have
Yeah.
a feeling too.
seeing the attendance that shocked me.
You know what?
I think it's
Were they
insane.
like
because
giving out free tickets?
maybe.
You gotta-
Of course, no, for sure. It's their new season, like their first home game.
Yeah, all the
Yeah.
corporate.
They're gonna definitely get like every radio station is giving away at least 100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Michael
No,
Jordan
but
was probably
end of the
giving some
day-
away too.
At the end of the day, it's a smart move. You
Only
want to fill
13
it
gets
up.
100 tickets.
You want to fill it up because you want people to experience it firsthand, and then like, okay, it was a fun time. Like,
Yeah,
let me
yeah.
go back and maybe buy some tickets. Maybe buy
Yeah.
season tickets.
Yeah.
And those tickets might be like $20, right?
Yeah.
It's you want to set like at the end of the day, like the biggest player on the team is Fuchs from Leicester City,
He's on the team.
captain. But like that's the thing. You want to get these people from Charlotte who aren't really familiar with the sport to
Yeah, packed
enjoy
stadium.
Mhm.
Yeah.
to enjoy it, and they're like, okay, like I'm gonna go here with my fam every single weekend. It's $20 a ticket, whatever, like decent seats,
Yeah.
and they have this seating for it. Might as well, like, you know what I mean? Like if half capacity in BMO, sell a ticket for 100, you can sell it for $50 in the US for twice. You're filling up the whole stadium. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. True.
I think the biggest factor in it, I'm surprised you guys haven't said it, why the sport is growing in North America in general, is look at the culture, multicultural countries, Canada and the States, and where are the most of them coming from? South America.
Yeah. True.
A lot of South Americans, a lot of Latinos, a lot of people who watch the sport in their country, support those football in South America, who have the passion. They're starting to come to North America more, and they're growing their own families here. They're bringing that football culture into the States, into Canada, and I think that's going to be the biggest factor. Just having all these multicultural people, and bringing just the whole culture of football to the States is going to have the biggest factor, I believe.
Yeah.
at the end of the day,
That's
like
true.
it's all about money too, right? Like these Americans are gonna invest into something they know they're gonna lose money for.
Yeah.
They're obviously gonna take their time and see like, okay, how can we make money from this, and so on and so forth. If it's not just fan sales, if it's not like this thing, it's just other stuff.
No,
So-
but it's smart. Look, it's I don't know what the percentage is now, but in the States, like South American people in the States, especially Mexicans in the States, is the percentage of Mexicans in the States is going up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's a
that's
second language, right?
exactly, it's the
Spanish.
second language. Look at Miami, like that's kind of, you would say, is the first language over there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
But
California,
like in
too, it's
California
very,
and all
very
these countries,
popular
right?
as well,
So
yeah.
like even as a businessman, as part owner of MLS or whatever, like this is a smart opportunity business wise as well, like to make
market to those people too,
to make
right?
to make the whole thing grow.
No, I think it's very encouraging. 74,000 in Charlotte, North Carolina. This isn't LA. This isn't
Yeah.
Miami.
But
this
that's
isn't
Bloody
New York.
North Carolina, man.
Carolina Panthers are a dead NFL team. Charlotte Hornets, obviously they have LaMelo Ball, whatnot, but they don't get to have a lot of fans. It's not a big market. 74,000 for a debut expansion team.
But the thing is, we'll see how long that can last. Will it
Yeah.
be 74,000 game after game?
No, it won't.
Probably not.
It won't.
The hype might just be there for that one time and then
Yeah,
die down.
dies
down.
Okay, but
man.
it's
We'll see.
it's still there. It happens.
No, it's
But-
good to see though.
Like, another thing is this is a team that's really new, getting out of those amount of money, those
Fans.
numbers and those
Yeah.
fans. They don't even have a big player.
They don't
Or
have a
they don't
star
have
yet, yeah.
they don't have a name under that belt. That
Yeah.
team. Imagine they do.
and they've been playing
You know?
pretty well. I think they got the 2 wins in their first 2 games.
Yeah.
I think they did. I'm pretty sure.
Well, like imagine them to get a good, solid.
I'm pretty sure they beat
world-class
I
player.
think they beat Miami
Yeah. Yeah.
or
that's the thing,
LA.
it's
I
like,
think it
you
was
know what I
LA
mean?
or something. I'm not sure.
They recruit like some techie
can
South
fact check me.
Americans. You know, that's what you got to do.
Yeah.
You recruit the techie South Americans because the thing is, like, a lot of those big European players, they're not gonna immediately come to Charlotte. You know what I mean? It's not
Yeah,
like a
exactly.
destination city that some of these European folk they look for. You know what I mean? Like, but
It just comes down to it, man. If you have the trainer and the facilities to make a team good, you can compete in the MLS.
they lost to LA Galaxy.
I don't think so.
No,
I don't think so because the small markets in MLS are always gonna hurt. Like teams like people are like we're on MLS Twitter like kind of with Footy Culture account. Like people are calling for FC Cincinnati to get relegated, and relegation doesn't exist
Why?
because they're that bad.
Yeah, Charlotte haven't won a game.
So
either.
when it comes
And-
down to it,
and-
do you
and-
guys
wait,
think?
in the MLS, because it's not like NBA, MLB, NHL, NFL, where you get that number 1 draft pick, your franchise changes. MLS draft doesn't matter,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Doesn't really mean much.
if you're at the bottom, you're at the bottom. And Cincinnati isn't LA, well, they'll get an Ibra. So
They don't have
they're
the
going to be
pull.
at the bottom forever.
Cincinnati, weren't they like just new like last year or 2 years ago? Also?
It's a newer team, but
yeah, it is in your team.
who are they going to attract?
That's
It,
the
it,
thing.
it comes down to it. Like same thing with the MLS. They can't expect a lot of these big name players to just expect to come into their team like nothing.
yeah,
I know it comes down to the environment and where you're playing and what city you're from, and like they're not gonna go and waste their years, the last few years of football in some random team like Cincinnati, right?
yeah.
It
Why
just
not?
comes down to like, if you do want to thrive as a club and as a team, then yeah, you have to put in like, we want to be good and create the players that come from our city. Look at the teams in City in La Liga, Atletico Bilbao.
They invest in the.
They invest in
man,
the city.
culture.
Like, there's big names that come out of that team, but will never leave because of the team they are, and like they're still competing in the city in La Liga.
Mm.
I don't think they've
Yeah.
ever been relegated.
No.
No, they haven't.
You know what I mean? Like, it's possible. You can create talent from where you're from.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Like there's teams out there that do it.
It's hard.
It just comes down to it. Like you need to hire instead of looking for the best player to bring to your club, look for the best scouts. Look for the best like.
Yeah, but that
Managers,
takes
the
time too,
coaches.
right?
Yeah.
It takes time.
It's
I'm
not
just saying,
instant,
but like
bringing in a
no,
player.
no, for
There's
sure.
a
I'm not
whole,
saying
like,
that. It's a whole like yeah, it takes time. It's like a whole pyramid thing. Like you need to start from the bottom, and it's gonna take time. But
Yeah.
I feel like that's where the MLS needs to start from. Don't expect to be the league where players come to retire for the rest of the year, like your life. Like you need to expect MLS to be big, maybe 10
Yeah.
years from now, where they're creating talent.
But
I
then
think- I
again,
think
like,
slowly are.
do the U.S. produce that much?
They can.
good
I'm saying
talent?
it's still growing, and then it's crazy how like look how big the United States is, and all this talent they could possibly grow in the next 10, 20 years. Dude,
It's
who's
gonna be
gonna make who's gonna make this USA team?
Yeah.
You know
but
what I
you're,
mean?
you're
There's
saying
new
you're
players coming up all the time.
But you're also saying like, oh, we should invest in talent. Yeah, it's a smart thing. But then, look at the talent. They play well this one season. Who's calling them? Europe. They're not gonna go.
Yeah, exactly.
But at the same time,
It's gonna be
you
a
have-
repetitive thing. You're not gonna have these players stay.
Once
A
you have that
stepping
talent,
stone.
once you have that stuff, then obviously then the league can start providing with
Well, the
bigger
thing is that, yeah,
bigger
you can-
money chances,
You can reinvest.
higher salary.
You can reinvest.
You can
right?
if you want to keep those players, they're American. You know what I mean?
I don't know. At the end of the day, I think any person's goal is to
Yeah,
play.
I
in
think
Europe.
it's always
Yeah.
going to be going to Europe. But I
If you
think
want to
it's
play the
like
Champions League, they don't want to play
Yeah,
North
for sure.
American
There has
Champions
to be
League.
some sort of like
MLS Cup. Yeah.
some sort of like just
What's up, guys? Jay Zinho here, and today I'm here to talk to you about Footy Fresh. What's Footy Fresh? Only the coolest air freshers around, footy style. And we got all your favorite players. We got Cristiano Ronaldo. We've got Messi. We've got the Golden Boy Haaland. All your favorite players. You could throw it in your car. You could throw it in your backpack. Put it in your office. The fragrance is to die for. Get yours now at thefootyculture.com.
You're never gonna be able to what's the word compete with football like in Europe.
Yeah,
just not
it's like
gonna
a similar thing.
You
It's
just gotta
like-
make sure kind of like make the league grow in its own way. And, provide something different.
yeah,
you know?
exactly. yeah.
Something that MLS doesn't do, that I saw people calling for on Twitter to help grow. Like you look at NBA, like any given night, it's Curry versus Doncic this night. It's LeBron versus Giannis.
Yes,
They don't do that in MLS. They don't promote player matchups.
Yeah.
These big battles.
Very, very true.
Like, would you,
That's
like,
definitely a way they
we
can
watch
do it.
TFC games, but on like an 8 o'clock at night, would you put on a Sporting Kansas City versus Real Salt Lake game just cause?
But the thing is, like, that's kind of
No,
different
no.
comparing football to basketball. Because for basketball, there's 5 players
that's the thing.
on the court, and then
That
one
one
player
player-
could be so influential.
Exactly.
No,
You
for
can't have
sure.
one player be too influential in a football
But
game.
that's how you create that attachment by a star.
Yeah.
How'd you fall in love with the game? Ronaldinho, a star.
Yeah, but it's
You don't
different.
fall in love with a team first. You fall in love with a player
Like
first.
NBA, a lot of people follow a player. They don't follow the team.
Okay, but that's how you could start growing the game. Get people to follow this player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's true.
Maybe.
And
That's
promoting
valid, yeah.
players is good for the players because
Yeah.
they're getting promotion.
Yeah,
There's
that's true.
no bad
It's
thing
true.
about it.
I
The,
s- I see
the
that,
Americans
yeah.
know how to do it because at the end of the day, look, the NHL is the best and hockey league in the world. The NBA is the best basketball league in the world. There's only one football league, and you know what I mean. Like the Americans,
the way
they can promote it where they can be the best, and they want to be the best,
Yeah.
right? So again, it takes time because MLS again it's still a young league, right? From
Ish,
where they
yeah.
from where they started from, like just from when they stopped taking the run up
I was
penalties
just about to say.
till now is when that league started being serious.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Somewhat.
from that day when they're like, we're taking penalties from that penalty spot is when that league started growing.
That's
So-
pretty entertaining from the clips I've seen.
Maybe they should bring that
What,
back.
Bring it back, bro,
what I still don't
maybe.
understand is like, how did they miss those chances? It's okay, but
No, but they got it comes to a point where they know they're not gonna be the best league in the world. So it's just obvious,
no,
right?
it's not. It's not.
But
you
you
can't
gotta
say
just
that
be-
because there's
They're
leagues.
not.
There's leagues in the world who were the biggest leagues in the world, and look at them now.
You think MLS would be bigger than any?
I'm not
in
saying that
Europe?
they could, but like
They're
look
not.
at, look at
No,
the
let's be
Scottish
real.
league. The Scottish league was one of the biggest leagues in the world back then.
Was it?
When
One.
Celtic wasn't Celtic one of the biggest teams, and like
that's one team.
Yeah.
they were
It's
a
one
pretty big
team,
league.
bro.
They were like a top 5 league.
I don't know, man.
I'm pretty sure.
What?
I don't know, man.
Wasn't Brazil one of the top 5 leagues in the world?
Yeah, because they had
Yeah.
some of the best players in the world.
Okay, so why
Did
can't
Scotland?
no? But why can't MLS have some of the best players in the world?
I mean, do they?
I'm saying why can't they?
They have has-beens.
They could be. I'm just saying.
Maybe one day. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe one day. It's like you never know. At the end of the day, you never know.
I think what
It's
what
gonna
Jay
be
was
tough,
saying,
though.
It's
It's
just
gonna be tough.
It's just you gotta promote it more.
Yeah.
You know.
So stamp it. Is America a soccer country?
Not right now.
Not yet, but they definitely can. They're on the right track, I'd say.
They are on the right
By the
track.
time the World Cup pops
Mhm.
pops around, a lot more so.
Yeah.
After that, a few years after, hopefully.
Yeah, I think so. I'm with Matt on that. I think the World Cup is definitely going to help.
Yeah.
I think even now, like, being able to like turn on the TV and seeing Champions League final, seeing an American player like lift the Champions League
Exactly,
and being
yeah.
present in that final, I think does a lot for the country.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like I feel like there's a lot of American Chelsea fans because of Pulisic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think like having a player like that definitely helps grow the game because like it gives you kind of a sense of, I don't know, I guess a sense of pride to watch the sport. You know what I mean? Like Americans are very proud people,
Yeah.
right? You're watching NBA, a lot of them are American players. You're watching NFL, MLB, all those big leagues, like it's all American players that are playing in
Mhm.
that league. So it's like if they're turning on, I think it's going to start with the national team for the US first
Yeah.
because like
Yeah.
the best players are always going to be in Europe for the States. It's just how it's going to be.
Yeah.
And then from then it's going to slowly progress to like, I think it just depends how they develop their young talent, right? The talent's going to move on, but it just depends how they reinvest that
Yeah,
money.
exactly.
You know what I mean?
As like as a supporter in general, like you see,
Yeah.
like you watch America in the World Cup, and you see all these European players playing in Europe, and you're like, okay, this is nice. I'm starting to like football now.
Yeah.
Well, I know there's a league called MLS in here in North America. Maybe I'll start looking
Yeah.
into that. That's how you bring the attraction.
I also don't think that like the MLS needs to necessarily become a massive league for
No.
America to be a soccer country.
Yeah, exactly.
I think America is going to be a soccer country long before MLS is like a top
Yeah.
league because I think Europe is just so far ahead
I
that
think
it's never going to catch up just
Yeah.
because of how big soccer is in Europe and how the structure is already
yes, exactly.
so
It's so-
driven and
the
it's everything-
infrastructure of all the-
infrastructure is already
exactly,
there.
exactly.
But I think like it's just gonna the national team is gonna it's gonna help MLS is gonna grow, yes. But I think like the national team and like the more American talent that starts playing in Europe and you're gonna see you're gonna
That's
see an
what I'm gonna
American.
say.
You know how right now like you know what I mean, like you see a Brazilian in almost every team. There's a
Mhm.
Spaniard, there's a
Mhm.
German, and
Mhm.
in every team. I think you're gonna more and more start seeing a lot more teams in top leagues. They're gonna have an American. They're gonna have a Canadian.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
That's
sprinkled
actually really right.
across the roster, and I think that's gonna help grow the game in the countries a lot
Yeah.
more. You know what I mean? Like I was talking to a buddy of mine at work. He started following West Ham because of Daniil Henry when he signed for West Ham.
Really?
That's the randomest thing, but you know what I mean? It's like if you're, and he said, it's like I was looking for a team to follow. I said, oh, there's a Canadian. Let me start following that team. You know how many Americans don't have a team,
Mhm.
and they're gonna look at a roster. Oh, there's Pulisic. Let me go
Chelsea.
follow Chelsea. That's what they're gonna say. You know what I mean? Or there's gonna be Aronson from Red Bull. Maybe he goes to
Mhm.
Leicester City. Oh, I'm gonna start following Leicester because they have an American. You know what I mean? It just kind of gives you a sense
You're
of.
you're really right. Actually, that's
You know what I
actually
mean? I think that's what's
that's
gonna
actually the
happen,
best way.
right?
Actually, the best way for MLS to grow is to have all these Americans and Canadians in Europe,
Yeah.
because then you start to see, oh look, so many Americans, so many Canadians in this league and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, maybe I should start looking to the MLS. I
Yeah.
want to see the new up and coming players that
Yeah.
can go play in Europe. You know, it's exciting to see these young kids and see what they can do. I want to see them go to Europe. That's the way it can kind of grow, and I
Yeah,
think that's the best way
Yeah.
it can grow, because you're not going to be the best league in the world.
Yeah, because for them to be successful, they shouldn't focus on becoming one of the best leagues. They should focus on becoming one of the best developmental leagues. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's the best way to
Yeah.
say it.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you have pride when all these young players go to play in Europe. Like that makes you
Yeah.
feel. Look at us for Canadians, an example. You don't want Jonathan David to play in the league in MLS.
Nah.
You
Bro,
want
I ain't never watched a Lille game in my life before Jonathan David started
Exactly,
playing for that
exactly.
team. You know what I mean?
and what's better for the sport of in Canada to grow, not for them to be playing in MLS. For
Exactly.
them,
Yeah.
for the young players to be playing in Europe.
Yeah,
And then
exactly.
and look, and now we're watching a lot of more TFCU games. A lot of people in general are watching more MLS games.
They're watching more soccer games
Yeah.
now because of what the other Canadian players have gone and done in Europe, because it first drew that interest because you're watching them play in the highest level
Exactly.
possible, and it's like, oh, you know what I mean? Let's start watching TFC. Let's start watching York United. You know what I mean? The
Exactly.
Canadian Premier League is going to blow up so much because of what Davies and all these other players are
doing
doing
for the sport
in Europe,
Yeah,
which is
exactly.
completely different countries, not even related, but it's going to grow the league so much because there's just going to be a growing interest in soccer because of what they're doing in Europe.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Look at Buchanan.
Yeah.
He was playing for New York Revolution, no?
Yeah.
And for my example in general, like
Yeah.
I started following the team in general because I want to see how he was
What
playing.
he was doing. Yeah.
So that's just an example right there. And now he's in Europe.
And now you're following how
And-
Club Brugge are doing because
Exactly.
he's playing for the team.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And even for an Ecuadorian, like the Ecuadorian that signed from Miami, now I'm following up on Miami. Like
So you
it's
wanna
all
see
these
how they're
little
doing,
things
yeah.
how they're doing, you know.
Yeah.
and then you start looking into other players from other, you try to find a new player. And
Yeah.
that's the best way to grow it because you're not gonna be the best league.
Yeah.
That's it right there, man.
That's it, man. That's it, man.
Love
Good.
that.
Best way to put it.
Cheeky little topic, man.
Yeah, good topic there for sure. Canada on the rise, man. Canadian football in general.
Yes, sir.
American football.
American
North
football.
American
North
football.
American.
NA.
North American
football.
football.
That's
NA
it,
football
man.
on the rise, man. Shout out Canada. Shout out United States. A lot of good ballers coming out of North America, and I think it's gonna continue to be that way, man.
Mhm.
I think
Yeah.
it's like, you know what I mean. We'll be here for it all.